President of the Calgary Leadership Forum.
We also do not understand how Calgary is not granted the same exemption to these rules as has been granted for the downtowns of both Drumheller and Fort McMurray, which are significantly built within the floodway, not the flood fringe. So we ask each candidate to comment on their views on both the process to create new policy and its content. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So folks, we have, we'll start on my far left, your right, and John, you get the first shot at it. We'll just work our way this way, 3 minutes for each of you to answer that first question.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for the question. As you pointed out, I've been down in Roxburgh. It's like a bomb went off down there. I mean, it's just terrible, and something has to be done. And I just want quickly a little history here, because we used to have a sustainability fund for $17 billion here in this province, and that was exactly for flood mitigation. But that got dissipated over the years by the PC government. Now it's nothing. So there's a real problem there. Then we had a big flood in 2005, and there was a study about what to do about it, but no one released the study. So that was kept quiet from the public, and then all of a sudden we had a huge flood hit in 2013, and I think that was just a terrible act of negligence by the PC government. How would we work on the flood mitigation? This is really important for me, because we know there's another flood coming. We don't know when, but there's one coming. We have to do something now. We have to work on flood mitigation now. The Springbank Dry Reservoir was announced, but we know that that's not enough. It has to work in tandem with one of the others. Either the tunnel from the reservoir over to the Bull River, or else the McLean Creek Dam. What we would do, unlike what Mr. Prentice did, he blindsided Mayor Minchin, just came out and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. That's not how we would do it. We would work in tandem. I'm not an engineer, so I can't, I'm a lawyer. But I have to tell you, we're going to work hand in hand with the Mayor of Calgary, because we have to save the city. We cannot live it's a question of saving the city, and that's why we have to spend the money to do that. So which of the two, I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but I do think that the Springbank one has a problem with the landowners now, and so that could be held up for some time. We've got to get onto this right away. We need an MLA who will fight, hold the government's feet to the fire, and make it happen. That is the task for over, I would say, the next 6 years, to get all that in place. Whether it's 1, 2, or 3 of the flood mitigation process. So that would be the process, working with the mayor and his engineers, as well as the provincial government. But also we need to work with the federal government as well, because they have a whole bunch of money for DPR here. $1.4 billion. They're for the disaster relief program. But only a little bit of that money is there. The province is not taking advantage of it. They've only spent, I think, about $88 million so far, and maybe $6 more million on appeal. So we would work closely with the feds. I don't know if my time's up, but hopefully I answered your questions.
All right, we're doing good here. Thank you very much. And Gordon Dirks.
Well, this is a matter that has great urgency attached to it. I think everybody in this community senses that deeply, and I certainly sensed it when just a couple nights ago I was sitting at the dining room table with the community president of Rio Roxburgh, hearing the stories really of the devastation of people's lives and families and homes and businesses. But he also said something that I think resonates with all of us. He said this wasn't just about Albo. This was about Calgary. And we need to take steps to ensure that we are doing everything we can to protect our great city in the future. If downtown were to get taken out by a massive flood, we can't begin to estimate the impact that would have on our families and our businesses, our economy, and the spread that it would have throughout the province. So there's great urgency. It's also about flood volume management. And the reason why Mr. Prentice and I immediately took action on the dry reservoir upstream from the Elbow is because that does provide an immediate flood volume management solution. It's not the only solution, but there needs to be a quick solution that will take action. And this one is a viable solution that can do that. It needs to be in tandem with other things which have already been announced, for sure. There are other options as well, up McLean Creek. We're not sure exactly what all the environmental impacts are on that. And of course the tunnel, which is a massive project, and we're not sure about all of the environmental impacts with that one as well. But nothing should be off the table. And it's very possible that we are going to need another solution in addition to the Springbank dry reservoir. It's the best quick solution. It disrupts the fewest people. It keeps the land in use for the people who own it unless a flood comes. And so I think that's the right action for leadership to take at this point in time. We do need to ensure that we are fairly treating people. I think that the process that was announced previously for individuals was frankly a mess, and government could have done much better. One of the reasons why I accepted Mr. Brennan's invitation to serve in this cabinet is because I really do believe government needs to be executed well with people's hearts and minds in view. And that wasn't always the case here. And so I'm committed to ensure that we have the proper long-term flood mitigation that we need to put in place. And what we've done so far is a proper step in the right direction, and we're going to continue to do that.
Thank you, Stephanie McLean.
Like so many of you, my husband and I were directly affected by the flood. We were living just off 24th Avenue, 4th Street, and our building saw, I think it was 30 million tons of water. Looking at my husband for, no, he's laughing at me. He's an engineer, so when I get the numbers wrong. But anyway, we were out of our building for a number of weeks, and it looked like a war zone, and it was extremely surreal. We really appreciated the sense of community and support, but at the end of the day, we were without our homes. And we were just thankful that we had friends and family that we could rely on during that time. Now that being said, there's still too many people waiting for flood relief. We were lucky in that our building insurance was able to cover the building's losses. Now, my friend Mr. Dirk says that they have these plans that they want to implement, and perhaps, the Springbank is not going to be good enough. Well, we know it's not going to be good enough. And in 2007, we had a flood mitigation plan that the PC government put out, and they didn't follow through with it. And as a result, they were not prepared for this disaster, and it caught them by surprise. And they still don't get it. They decided to implement this plan without any consultation with the city. And if this is any indication of how this government is going to run, how they're going to run the government and make decisions for us, top down, without any consultation, I think we're in the exact same boat we were before under the old Redford regime. Now, the NDP government, however, and myself as a representative will work with the city in consultation and work with the engineers that are assigned to this particular project. In our opinion, we really need to update the engineering studies and our environmental studies to reflect the reality of the situation. We need to have strong understanding of what is actually going to work, and we need to plan for it, and we need to implement those plans. We want to work together as a partner, and practical things that need to be implemented include preparing buildings for floods. New buildings need to be built to a particular standard to ensure that flood waters are not going to affect the building. Was that time, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's essentially our position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Terry, you asked two questions. You said, which of these scenarios or the solutions would we suggest or propose? And the second one was, what was our view of the process that has been undergone so far under the Flood Recovery and Reconstruction Act? And you listed a number of concerns you had with that. So let me start with the first question, which of the proposals should go ahead? I'm concerned, as are some of the people at this table, that the Springbank dry reservoir solution that has been proposed by Mr. Prentice and is referred to here is not the best quick solution. In fact, it's one of three solutions that are on the table, and the other two solutions have not yet been fully investigated and analyzed. And it seems to me that if you're going to try to do the best thing for the city and the area and the residents, you'll get all the information together first, and then you'll make a call without slapdashing something in there, which may be, well, it'll cost $200 million and may not do anything for you down the road, given the lack of data that you have that you're starting with in the first place. So my suggestion on that would be finish the work we started. Mayor Nenshi started from that perspective and said he was stunned to see that the provincial government came up with that solution without even consulting with the city. So that's my first point, is finish the work and then make a reasoned decision based on real facts. And the second question you asked was about the process, and you referred to the Flood Recovery and Reconstruction Act. I'm appalled with any process that does not adequately consult the population that's going to be impacted and the city. It's our tax dollars, it's our livelihoods, it's our lives. And if we end up going forward with the process and don't even bother to engage the people who will be impacted, then we're really doing everyone a disservice. And frankly, that's not democracy. So let's stop for a minute and think about this. The process here has to be more consultative. What the Springbank dry reservoir solution has done is pitted the citizens of Springbank, Redwood Meadows, and Bragg Creek against all of the rest of the province. The flood brought us together. The Prentice solution is going to tear us apart. So my position on that is not the way to go.
As you know, we lost our basement in the flood last year, and I consider myself incredibly fortunate that it was not a lot worse. There are a lot of people in our communities that are still hurting. There's a lot of brave faces, and as I travel, door knock around the constituency, the lawn is cut, the house is painted, there's flowers on the planters, you open the front door, and there's no drywall. There are still people hurting, all over Calgary alone. Calgary is a world-class city built at the confluence of the Bow and the Elbow River, as are nearly every world-class city. We cannot protect residents if we don't protect downtown. We cannot protect taxpayers if we don't take action. The Alberta Party has a comprehensive 6-point flood recovery and prevention framework. I'm proud to say that it is, I think, by far the most comprehensive flood framework of any party. The first point is to recover. And the initial response, while heroic, included the very flawed buyout policy. That has staked $80 million, which is half the cost of the Springbank dry reservoir, on buyouts for less than 100 people.